Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Karen Lang on behalf of the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors wanted to echo basically everything Ms. Garcia just said. The county remains entirely committed to trying to partner with the state in any way they can to ensure that the actual quality of care is maintained through potentially an FQHC or something similar to that, either on the site or very close by. The Department of Developmental Services is the largest employer through the SDC for the area of Sonoma we're talking about. So when it comes to the staff that are working there, the impact on the larger community, but of course very specifically on the persons who are receiving the care from those staff, that's an incredibly high priority for the county to make sure that they maintain employed and they maintain that connection with their clients all the way through. So thank you for continuing to work with us. Again, thank you to DDS for being so open to our conversations. Thank you.
Catherine Blakemore, Disability Rights California. I want to just speak in favor of the proposal to limit the use of restraint in the community. This came up at the last hearing where we reported that the proposal from DSS was to allow restraints for 4 hours at a period of time. They said they were working on it. I checked yesterday. They're still working on it. My belief is that it just needs to be set statutorily, and that's why we're proposing that, because the regulations allowed the department to do it without any further legislative oversight, and it's not yet complete. We're also speaking in favor of the proposal to give the Protection Advocacy Agency, which is Disability Rights California, access to the same kind of data about deaths and serious injuries in community facilities that we currently get from the developmental centers. As I referenced in my earlier comment, we are concerned about the pace of people moving from the developmental centers. We think that can also be helped by some additional money going through to the health financing facilities and financing administration, and I'll just pass around our letter that was sent to your offices last week about that. I think still worthy of a discussion about that, particularly given the need to continue to invest state general fund dollars only while we're making this transition. And another piece is to quickly resolve the questions around state staffing. If that's going to be meaningful, we need to do it sooner rather than later so that people can actually move with staff that will help in that transition. And to postpone it till the next budget cycle, I think poses some challenges for that to become a real program. Thank you.
Thank you. See no further public comment. We're going to take the motions individually. Go ahead, sir. Yes. Let me read it so we're all clear about the actions we're taking and in which order. So first of all, they're reflected on page 34 of the agenda. I will entertain a motion that we approve the modifications noted under sub 1, sub A and B. We approve the January budget and the following May revised proposals. The independent monitoring contract for Fairview and Porterville, the exemption from public contract code to become a regional center vendor, and the special managed care provisions for developmental center closures. I'll entertain that motion. Call the roll, please.
Mitchell?
Aye.
Monning? Aye. Stone?
That's out with a 3-0 vote. I'll entertain a motion to approve the May revised proposal regarding the provisional language for retention stipends for developmental center staff.
So moved.
Please call the roll.
Mitchell?
Aye.
Monning?
Aye.
Stone?
No.
That is out with a 2-to-1 vote. Thirdly, I'll entertain a motion that reflects that we accept placeholder trailer bill language to do items 2A, B, C, D, E, and F on pages 35, 34, and 35 of the agenda.
So moved.
Please call the roll.
Mitchell?
Aye.
Monning?
Aye.
Stone?
That's out with a 2-0 vote. And lastly, reflected on page 35 of the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to augment the DDES budget by $5 million general fund and $10 million in future years in accordance with the language reflected in page 35 of the agenda.
So moved.
Call the roll.
Mitchell?
Aye.
Monning?
Aye.
Stone?
And that's out with a 2-to-1 vote. With that, we'll move on to issue 3, deferred maintenance projects.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the agenda correctly points out, the department is proposing $18.2 million total in deferred maintenance projects for the Porterville Developmental Center. The secure treatment program at Porterville is scheduled to remain open after the closure of the general treatment area. One of the issues that has been of concern to this subcommittee is the replacement of the boiler system at Porterville. There were concerns that because the existing boilers need to be replaced, there was a question whether the boilers could be downsized given that the facility will be reduced in size to only serve the secure treatment population. There was a study conducted by an independent contractor that was hired by DGS to look at the issue, and the study recommended that all 3 existing boilers be replaced. The new boilers can be downsized to meet the new capacity requirements, but there will still be 3 boilers needed, 1 that runs in the summer, 2 in the winter, and a 3rd that's available for backup. The study also found that the steam and condensation lines were adequate, but that the lines had significant leaks and needed repair. Some portions of them needed replacement, and the thermal wrap for a lot of the lines needed to be replaced. So based on the recommendations of this study, the proposed cost for the project increased significantly. The project was estimated at approximately $5.4 million. The new estimated cost is approximately $10.1. And again, this is because of the broader perspective of the project. It's looking at more components. The original numbers were estimated in 2010. These are now estimated for 2016.
Could you please provide the committee with a copy of the study?
Yes, absolutely.
I'd appreciate that. Any questions? You know anything about boilers? Can you weigh in? $10 million. Any questions, Senator Monning? Okay, well, we can't help you. LAO, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Meredith Worden, as noted in your agenda, we have just raised concerns about the need for this replacement at this time, particularly given the deficiency at Sonoma and the general fund implications there. Specifically, we recommended that the department further justify the increased costs, the health and safety considerations, and explain exactly how this proposal takes the closure of the secure treatment center at Porterville into consideration. That was not clear to us how that was considered with this new study. Further, just in general, an approach in considering deferred maintenance, we have historically suggested that prioritizing certain types of projects, such as those that address fire, life, and safety, so those are important and critical and want to ensure those are addressed. Thank you.
You need to review the study. Yes, the boilers are critical.
We have not. We would note that the department shared the study with us just recently. It's very long and lengthy, and so we have not had time to review.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finance? Any public comment on issue 3? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to reject the proposal to replace the PDC boiler in order to continue discussions on this topic and to approve all of the other projects outlined in the agenda. Please call the roll.
Mitchell?
Aye.
Monning?
Aye.
Stone?
That's out with a 3-0 vote. We'll move on to issue 4, special session resources and technical cleanup of trailer bill language.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What these proposals do is they attempt to address the administrative components of AB X21, the special session bill that provided almost $500 million to the developmental centers, or the developmental services system. While the ABX21 contained an appropriation, there were additional resources that were needed for both the department and the regional centers to implement the proposals contained in the bill. So the first proposal requests approximately $752,000 for the department to hire 5 new positions. These positions are going to be used to work on 3 different things. One, as ABX21 provided $11 million for reducing disparities in the provision of developmental services for underserved populations. This position would serve as a coordination position for the department, working in conjunction with the regional centers. There are also positions that are proposed to support the new competitive integrated employment components of ABX21. ABX21 provided for not only paid internship programs for individuals with developmental disabilities, but also payment incentives for individuals placed in competitive integrated employment. So again, this provides positions at our headquarters to work with the regional centers in coordinating. And then finally, it provides a position to oversee the rate study that we have proposed and that is required to be submitted to the legislature by March 1st of 2019. We think that it's important to have a position working with the contractor because of the complexity of our current rate system. We believe this study is going to take the full 2 years and potentially longer. So we think having a position in place to assist with that would be useful. The next proposal is related to the regional center budget, and it proposes positions for both the disparities projects at the regional centers and the competitive integrated employment project. It provides funding for 21 positions for both projects, of a total of 42 positions at the regional centers, and at a total cost of approximately $4.5 million. And there's also $3 million included for the cost of the department to perform the rate study. The final item is some minor cleanup to ABX21. After the bill was chaptered, there were some areas that we thought would be helpful to provide some clarification. We wanted to make it clear in the legislation that providers of out-of-home respite services are also eligible for the increase, the 5% increase for respite care. And finally, we wanted to make it clear that any provider, not just a supported employment provider, who places an individual with developmental disabilities in competitive integrated employment is eligible for the payment incentives that are outlined in the legislation.
Any questions, colleagues? Elio? Finance? Can you tell me how you're working with stakeholders on developing the programs to reduce the disparities?
Yes, Madam Chair. We've reached out to the regional centers, and we intend to have further meetings during this spring to look at what best options are, because one of the things that we're concerned about, and as well as in the discussions we've had with the Association for Regional Center Agencies, they share the concern that we don't believe a cookie-cutter approach will work. We think it's important that regional centers look at what works best for the particular populations they serve And so what we're doing is meeting to decide what kinds of things will be viable projects. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if I could, Madam Chair, is to add just a little bit additional information regarding the approach. We've also reached out and had some conversations with DRC as far as how we can approach reaching out to the community for input. As far as how to utilize the funds that are proposed. One of the areas in which we'd really like to be able to do is establish, and we're working in short order, I'd say in the next probably 60 to 90 days that we'll be able to achieve this, is to have local stakeholder meetings. So we're going to be able to go to the community and have assurances that we can have representation of the different groups, specifically those that are underserved, to make sure they can have a voice and input as to how the funds can be best used to address some of the disparities.
And you said in the next 60 to 90 days?
Correct. That's our target is to complete those. We're also doing stakeholder meetings with the competitive integrated employment. So just scheduling, trying to make sure that we can coordinate. So, but it is a priority to make sure that we have it throughout the summer. So we're going to have it completed by the end of the summer.
Okay, and you know, when we talk about stakeholder engagement, sometimes you can kind of check off the box done with a meeting or a conference call. And so I'm hoping this will be beyond that.
It's definitely beyond that. And that's where we're looking forward to going out to the communities and making sure that we're having it not only at one location, that we'll be looking at Northern California, Central California, Southern California, really looking at being even a little bit different in our approach as far as this, engaging in the stakeholders. Is there a way to be able to engage through Skype or reaching out to the rural communities, because we recognize that the issues for the families is not just located to some of the central areas in which we've had other stakeholder meetings.
Thank you. Public comment?
Madam Chair, Sue North again from California Disability Services Association. Just very briefly on the competitive integrated employment, because we haven't seen language nor have had the opportunity to go through the stakeholder process, we simply want to make the point to you that people that know how to do this should be able to do some of these new ideas and services. And as an example, in the internship program, we sponsored a bill last year that Senator Hancock carried that the governor signed that would allow for internships in state agencies to help bring people with disabilities in to get real jobs that pay well. And our entire point was that for our consumers, if they need supported employment, the regional center system is there to help provide that needed service as a support to the individual. So we see the internship and support employment as two distinct different things, but they complement each other very well when they're tied to an employer opportunity that's real. And mainly that's what we're concerned about with the internships, is that in our experience where this has been tried, private employers are very willing to take somebody who's essentially free. But the minute that the internship is over, they don't have any skin in the game, and that's the end of the job. So we are deeply invested in wanting to make this work, and we simply want to make sure that whatever language is done does not preclude people who do this now from participating in these new options.
Thank you. Next witness.
Madam Chair and members, Rick Rollins on behalf of ARCA, Association of Regional Center Agencies. ARCA supports the proposed $3 million to complete the study of provider rates, which is an essential step towards addressing service providers' current fiscal challenges systematically. ARCA also supports the proposed trailer bill language that clarifies that rate increases with the funds from ABX21 are available to all respite providers, and that makes clear that all service providers can access incentive payments for helping individuals with developmental disabilities to find and keep competitive employment integrated jobs in the community. Finally, ARCA supports the proposal to fund regional center specialists to collaborate with individuals with developmental disabilities, their families, providers, and other community stakeholders to improve service outcomes in the areas of integrated employment and service to diverse communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Madam Chair and members, Bob Giovatti with the State Council on Developmental Disabilities wanted to attach ourselves to some of the comments that have already been made and rise in support of these matters. The Council has done extensive surveys of the employment environment throughout the state of California, and we have heard repeatedly from the individuals and the families that we serve that competitive integrated employment is absolutely vital and crucial to them on so many different levels. So we are encouraged by what we're hearing, and we look forward to future action on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next witness.
Evelyn Abu Hassan with Disability Rights California. Just want to weigh in on the issue around disparities. We're pleased that the department is going to be looking at engaging stakeholders and ensuring that, you know, their proposals are considered. We would encourage a timely response to those proposals and a report to the legislature on the outcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would agree. I will entertain a motion to adopt placeholder trailer bill language.
So moved.
Call the roll, please.
Mitchell?
Aye.
Monning?
Aye.
Stone?
Thank you very much. That's out. It's a 3-0. Issue 5, provider rate adjustments to address the state minimum wage increase trailer bill language.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This issue is related to SB3 that increases the minimum wage incrementally each year until it reaches $15 an hour by January of 2022. Because of the rate freezes that have been in place for a number of years, the department needs statutory authority in order to provide rate increases related to minimum wage. So what this would do is it amends sections of the Welfare and Institutions Code that would make it possible for the department to increase rates effective January 1st, 2017, when the minimum wage rises to 50 cents, rises to $10.50.
Any questions of committee members? Mm-hmm. My jacket matches the ladies. Senator Stone.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'm certainly supportive of adjusting for the minimum wage for our employees. Have we, but it's my understanding we haven't done it for the providers, adjusting for a minimum wage, what we're going to pay them. Is that true?
No, the minimum wage adjustments are available to any provider that can demonstrate that they have individuals who are earning less than the current minimum wage.
Okay. Does it include exempt employees in compaction?
No, it does not.
Okay.
The proposal only funds the hourly incremental increase.
Okay, so how do we make them whole?
We don't have a proposal in the budget to address either the wage compaction issue or the twice minimum wage requirement in California. Those are issues we have not attempted to address in previous hourly wage increases. For example, when the minimum wage increased from $9 to $10 this year, we didn't try to address those issues at that time either.
And how do you foresee that to impact our delivery of services?
We do understand that the wage compression issue, I think, is felt by providers, obviously, when you have an individual who is making maybe $13 an hour, and then you hire somebody in, all of a sudden they're making $10.50, and next year it goes up to $11. So you've got that wage compaction, and appreciate the difficulty that causes. But and the same with twice minimum wage. You know, a provider may, again, it is a requirement in California. A provider makes the determination on how they want to structure their management structure within their agency. We don't presume to know whether it would make reasonable sense. Let's say a provider had a supervisor who was managing 10 people. They said, well, if the state's paying twice minimum wage, I'm going to hire another supervisor, and we're only going to supervise 5 people. That gets into an area, all of a sudden, you know, we don't know how we would even estimate for something like that, because we don't know what the reaction in the community would be. We understand the problem, and we understand that it's an issue, but we don't have a solution to try to address it.
You're doing a rate survey at this time?
Yes, we are.
When do you expect to get the results back from that?
The statute required that the survey results, we sent out about 1,800 surveys, and we expected the surveys to be back by April 15th. We've received just over 800, and at this point, that's not enough for a statistically valid sample. So what we're doing is working with advocacy groups, reaching out to providers. Again, we've hosted additional webinars so that providers can ask questions, and we're trying to focus on particular provider groups that have not responded as thoroughly. So what we're hoping is that by reaching out to providers, we'll increase those survey responses.
I appreciate that. I'm going to support the issue today. I just wish that the administration would take into consideration not only the minimum wage impacts on employees of the state of California, but the providers that are providing those services and what the ramifications is on them. So,
LAO, Finance, Public comment.
Sue North with CDSA once again. We implore you to do something about the salaried floor, because it's California labor law wage orders that require that the salary be set at minimum, double minimum wage. Just this morning, the federal government has announced its $47,000 floor that is going to become the new baseline. At the federal level, and the state level may well be above that once we start moving the minimum wage up. Right now, that's about $5,000 a year per salaried position. The difference between where the floor is today in California law and where the new federal floor is. Those decisions are far more than integrated into the nature of the DD delivery system than the department is willing to put on the table. Your number of salaried people comes as a result of community care licensing standards of staffing ratios and/or the regional center's own design, program design for the RFP that they let for the service contract in the first place. Mm-hmm. So these are not decisions that are 100% discretionary for the vendor. Mm-hmm. It's up to the purchaser to put the parameters on what the staffing pattern needs to look like. Mm-hmm. So under the circumstance that it's government policy that's driving the service model and it's government policy that's driving the salary floor, we have to have people that can function on call. We've got to have people that are available more than an 8-hour day. This is serious, and it's once again going to put us back behind the 8 ball that we spent the last 2 years arguing, and thankfully got some help in late February. But this is going to lose ground instantaneously, very, very quickly, and we'll be back in the precarious position of losing service providers.
Thank you. Next witness.
Thank you. Nancy Chance, Executive Director of Choices Person-Centered Services. I'm also a family member. My husband has a traumatic brain injury, and I am also a member of the California Person-Centered Partnership. I want to start by thanking you for the direct wage pass-through that was provided through the through AB X21. That was very important and very helpful to us, and we're very grateful for that. And the concern that we have this year, and we support, of course, the funding of minimum wage going forward always. But this year we're concerned because with the direct wage pass-through that happens July 1, we could end up at $10.50, and then we won't qualify for a wage increase to bump up for the minimum wage, and we'll be back to that place where we're hiring people at minimum wage again. We had hoped that the minimum wage increase would be on top of that direct wage pass-through, so we're still a little bit ahead of the game right now. That's really important for us to be able to attract and to keep qualified direct service professionals. So that's really important. The other is the issue that was just addressed regarding the exempt staff. When the federal, I just sat up there and figured out what it would cost just my little agency to just do it for supported living, and I have 3 different kinds of agencies, and it's going to be $54,000 a year on December 1 to take my exempt staff up to the 47.5. And do they deserve it? Absolutely. And it is true what was just said. In my case, and I speak for, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but in my case, I mandated through my contract with the regional center to have a manager per a certain number of clients. That's not my goal. Do I think some of them are easier than some are harder? It's not how it works. So those are things that I think we really have to address, and I'd encourage you to please, please, please look at that issue, because it's true. We're going to be right back where we started, and we've made so much progress this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Marty Emoto, California Disability Senior Community Action Network and the California Person-Centered Advocacy Partnership, and also a family member, and just want to echo my comments with the 2 previous speakers, and also again just underscore our appreciation to the legislature, members of both parties, but also the administration in providing the additional resources and funding for our community. I wanted to urge the legislature and the administration to consider requiring or putting trailer bill language that would require the Developmental Services Task Force to come up with some stopgap measures to address some of these concerns and problems regarding the increase in the minimum wage, which is a good thing. And also the final rule that was issued in Washington that will raise the level of what is exempted from overtime in terms of salaried employees. Those are good things. But if it's not handled correctly here in the state of California in terms of implementation, it could have a lot of negative effects, especially in terms of continuity of care and the supports and services. And so I think if we can get the Developmental Services Task Force to somehow come up with some temporary one-time stopgap solutions to address those good things and to make them happen in our community, that would actually be good until more permanent solutions can be identified. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Carlene Holden with Easter Seal. I know you understand these issues, so I'm just appreciating the fact that you're working with us, and also align my comments with the prior speakers. Clearly, the wage compaction issue is huge. Our experienced staff are leaving because of it. We can't afford for them to leave, especially at the same time we're helping those transition from the State Developmental Center into our communities. So it's a major issue for us, as is the exempt associates twice the minimum wage. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt the proposed placeholder trailer bill language that will adjust specified provider rates for the state minimum wage adjustments. Roll call, please.
Mitchell?
Aye.
Wanning? Aye. Stone?
Yes.
3-0.
Perfect. That's out 3-0. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're moving on to the Department of Public Health. Thank you. Stretch time.